Level 989.
Welcome to a 989 on Health Extra. These quick supplements should help ease any withdrawal symptoms you may experience while waiting for our next full episode. So Mike, what's on today's agenda?
This time we're looking at Medline.com and their piece on the use of drones in emergency medical situations. Is it just me, or have we missed the opportunity to give these little flying devices a better name? A drone seems like we named it for the sound it makes. It just drones on. We might as well have called it a hum or a whir or a buzz. Speaking of buzz, I suppose the reference to drone might come from bees? In fact, the more accurate name for these devices would be UAV, an unmanned aerial vehicle, but the population at large isn't a big fan of acronyms. So, in the Medline article, which you will, of course, find a link to in our show notes, they describe a drone designed to operate in emergency situations to deliver automated external defibrillators, or AED, to victims suffering from a cardiac arrest. And for anyone who doesn't know, a defibrillator is what's used to shock you back to life if your heart stopped. I think I've been pronouncing this word incorrectly for years. I think I've always said defibrillator, but it's actually got an R in there. It's defibrillator. So why is a drone useful in medical emergencies? A drone doesn't have to fight through busy streets and traffic congestion. It can fly directly to the person in need at 75 kilometers or about 47 miles per hour. That speed means that the high-tech, life-saving equipment gets to the site of the emergency up to 16 minutes faster than a conventional ambulance crew. Okay, now here we have a quote within a quote. According to the article and according to the American Heart Association, more than 350,000 out-of-hospital cardiac arrests occur annually in the United States, and only about 1 in 10 patients survive. Experts estimate that for every 1 minute that a patient is pulseless, the survival rate drops by 10%. And according to Andreas Claesson, RN, PhD, Center for Resuscitation Science, Karolinska Institute, Stockholm, Sweden, they believe that a shock delivered within 5 minutes can result in a survival rate reaching at least 20 or 30%. End quote. Now, it probably won't surprise you to learn that this tech is not quite ready for mainstream rollout just yet. This was a test that took place in Sweden, and it was all about getting the defibrillator device to the destination quickly, safely, and accurately. Turns out there were no actual test zaps involved in this study, which is a bummer, since I really wanted to see a video with a drone calling out "clear" in a little robot voice before electrifying someone back to life. Also, it seems that the drones will be delivering the devices, but will require an able-bodied person on site at the emergency to actually use the defibrillator on the victim, which is another bummer. I always get carried away with grand visions when I read headlines, but I was picturing a drone that flew to the emergency site and actually saved someone's life all by itself. Maybe by shooting a couple of darts into their chest with wires attached. Hey, it works for tasers. But my inflated expectations aside, this is an exciting test that'll hopefully lead to even more drone-delivered medical interventions. I mean, so often, a quick action at the right time is all that's needed to save a life. Maybe a quick dose of epinephrine if someone's having a severe allergic reaction, or a person needs a dose of insulin if they're going into diabetic shock. And a drone could definitely save lives in many simple ways like these. Now here's me dreaming again, but how about some kind of blow-dart delivery system? This would be a drone that you'd actually want to sting you. And think about drug overdose cases. How often do situations arise where a handful of people are hanging out, maybe experimenting with some illegal substances, and one of the group overdoses or has a severe reaction? There have been many such instances where everyone who can run just scatters because they're afraid of their parents or of law enforcement, and because they just don't know what to do. This might sound silly, but I bet it would save lives. If you could just call for a robot drone to come and help you, I'll bet there'd be many cases where people would be more likely to make that call, even if they make the call and then run. Speaking of good calls, Canada has recently passed what's called the Good Samaritan Drug Overdose Act, which provides exemptions from charges related to simple possession for people who call 911 for themselves or others suffering an overdose. I think this is definitely something the United States should explore as well. People shouldn't die just because they're afraid of calling for help. Now, drones won't be replacing human medical professionals anytime soon, but in those situations where just getting on site quickly can make all the difference, drones have the potential to save thousands of lives. Even if the drone just arrives a couple of minutes ahead of the ambulance crew and can start assessing the situation with sensors, the humans will have a much better idea of what equipment they'll need and what sort of environment they're about to run into.
That's all for now. You can find links to read more about today's topics at level989.com. Why not take a moment to rate or review us in iTunes, or give us a mention on social media? We can't help everyone if they don't know we exist. Don't rely on us as an alternative to medical advice from a professional healthcare provider. For the full disclaimer, please see our website. Thanks for listening, and now, go health yourself.